boggling to me how our government is made up to be pro-man. And let's not forget that it is not up to the prosecutors who they find guilty or not guilty, but it's up to the jurors who sit in these long hours of deliberations actually arguing that a man is given a lower sentence and or found to be not guilty. And the state fully allows it. Like, the state fully allows it to begin with. Like, my mind is just blown.
Yeah.
Beyond blown. Like,
wow, that is a very good point. Just like the fact... And it just sucks. So if you are a black man who is going against LGBTQIA people, just know that it's just not, historically, it's just not, like, it's not African thing, right? Like, a lot of people think, like it's like my roots, you know, like I'm, you know, sticking with my tradition. It's like, no, you're sticking with the colonizer.
Exactly.
The colonizers implicated that into people of color. Like, homophobia was widely spread by the, like, Catholic Church, and
so heavily influenced.
Yeah.
And it's just...
And it's, like, not, like, 100%, but yeah, I mean, mostly, like... That's some colonizer shit.
Colonizer shit.
Some colonizer agenda that you're, you know. And I love that. That's a great point. That, you know, the law favors, like, these men if they're committing the same heinous acts as white men. So that's wild.
Yeah. So, if you thought that the cases that I mentioned before were controversial, just wait until you hear this one. And it's kind of like, this is the one that really, really hit me hard because I relate too close to home to it. Larry King was born on January 13th, 1993 in Ventura, California, to a 15-year-old mother who had an unfortunate addiction to crack cocaine and alcohol. Being so young and not having the means to support Larry and his younger brother Rocky, she turned to sex work to be able to provide for them, but also to support her substance addiction. 2 years later, both children were adopted by Gregory and Dawn King. According to Gregory, Larry was diagnosed with reactive attachment disorder, which is characterized by markedly disturbed and developmentally inappropriate ways of relating socially in most contexts. It was the third grade when Larry started experiencing bullying by his fellow students due to what society considers effeminacy. As well, he was openly gay at the age of 10. When he was 12, he was put on probation for theft and vandalism. I wasn't able to find exactly what for, but some sites had said that it was for taking food from the fridge at his adoptive parents' house, and other sites said that it was for vandalizing a tractor with a razor blade, which, both of those things, I'm like, okay. But anyways, in November 2007, he was removed from his adoptive home and placed in a group home where he was also receiving treatment named Casa Pacifica, after he accused his adoptive father of physically abusing him, which Gregory later denied charges. In January 2008, he attended EO Junior High School, where he found it to be a more accepting environment. He was a part of a friend group with some girls who embraced him and didn't pass judgment. However, he was bullied and ridiculed by some of the boys in his gym class, especially when he would wear what's considered feminine clothing, makeup, and heels. Larry responded to the bullying by defending himself and doing what made him feel safe. He would tell boys who harassed him in the locker room that they looked attractive, or ask if he could sit at their table in the cafeteria. Some boys reported to their teachers that he would tell them, "I know you want me," in the hallways between classes. And honestly, I'm guilty of this myself because from the perspective of me being gay at such a young age, I was like just constantly harassed to where it got to the point to where it's like, okay, you're gonna fucking pick on me, then I'm gonna do something that bothers you. So it's like, from my perspective, I totally get where he's coming from because there's just a point where you get fed up with it and you don't know what else to do. So I can't speak for anybody else, but I know that I have the same experience with this. Rocky, his younger brother, was also bullied because of how his older brother presented himself. And oddly enough, some of his teachers felt that he was out of dress code because they found his sense of fashion to be a distraction. Which, by the way, ew?
Alright.
Luckily, there are California laws that prohibit discrimination based on gender, including gender expression, so he was not prevented from dressing to his preference. In addition, Larry had also asked to be referred to as Letitia. On January 29th, the assistant principal sent out a formal notice via email to the staff that stated, "We have a student on campus who has chosen to express his sexuality by wearing makeup. It is his right to do so. Some kids are finding it amusing, others are bothered by it. As long as it does not cause classroom disruptions, he is within his rights. We are asking that you talk to your students about being civil and non-judgmental. They do not have to like it, but they do need to give him his space. We are also asking you to watch out for possible problems. If you wish to talk further about it, please see me or Joy Epstein," which was the principal.
Gotcha.
And I'm glad that an email was sent out, but it didn't prevent the tragedy that took place. So, on February 10th, Larry walked onto the basketball court and approached Brandon McKierney, who was 17 at the time and also had come from a troubled past. Larry had asked Brandon if he wanted to be his Valentine. And I don't really know if Larry was doing this as a joke because Brandon bullied him or if he was genuinely interested in him. Anyways, Brandon said no and got made fun of by his teammates. On February 11th, shortly after lunchtime, Larry passed Brandon in the corridor and said, "Love you, baby." Later that day, Larry was seen parading back and forth in high-heeled boots and makeup in front of Brandon. According to a teacher, a group of boys were laughing at Brandon, who was getting visibly upset, and assistant principal Joy Epstein, noticing Brandon's reaction, wagged her finger at him. When Brandon endured teasing because of the incident, he attempted to recruit other students to assault Larry, but no one expressed interest. He then told one of Larry's friends to say goodbye to him because she would never see him again. Which is an imminent threat right then and there. And
also, it's like that whatever he's gonna do, he planned it. Because if he went over to pretty much tell one of his friends, that means he's been planning it.
Exactly. And not only that, but it's like he had to have planned it because he tried to get other boys involved.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they were like, yeah, no. Like,
we're good.
We're good. Like, we don't need to assault somebody, but...
I'm just gonna call him gay, and move on.
Exactly. So...
Dang.
On the morning of February 12th, 2008, Brandon was witnessed repeatedly looking at Larry during a class in a computer laboratory. At approximately 8:15 a.m., Brandon drew from his backpack a .22 caliber revolver belonging to relatives and shot Larry twice in the back of the head. Following the shooting, Brandon tossed the handgun on the floor and walked from the classroom. He was apprehended by police 5 blocks away from the school campus, and about 7 minutes later, Larry was transported to St. John's Regional Medical Center, where he was listed in serious condition. He was declared brain dead on February 13th, but kept on life support for 2 days so that his organs could be donated. It's just unfortunate to think that this happened while Larry was literally just at school, like a place where he was supposed to be considered safe, and he was allowed to express his identity even if it was unfavorable to other people. And it's just a
this combines like two of the most terrifying things in my eyes. Literally a hate crime because of expression or gender, or sexuality or gender expression, identity, and school shootings. Yeah. Like, that's literally the two scariest things to me. Like, this person was just trying to learn, get their education, and so the student was so bothered by them that they took a revolver and shot them in the head.
Exactly. Yeah, so... And it kind of makes me think about, back to my childhood, because I literally experienced the same exact thing that Larry did. And it kind of makes me think about, like I said, how Larry was doing this to protect himself. His flirtation with these other boys was a form of protection.
You get it, since you were that age and you were out so early.
Yeah, and it makes me think about, how many times I made remarks to boys like this because they harassed me, and how this literally could have happened to me. But I'm just so fucking hurt that it happened to Larry, and literally my heart aches for him because, fuck, it's like, he was so young. He was so young. And he didn't deserve that. So, obviously, Brandon had to go to trial because he murdered somebody. And on the first day of trial, James Bing, McKerney's half-brother, was admonished by Judge Campbell because it was overheard that Bing went to the jury outside of the courtroom and addressed them, and he said, "The fate of my brother is in your hands." Bing was then banned from the courtroom unless he was summoned to testify. The prosecutor depicted that Brandon as a popular teenager who was skilled in martial arts and firing guns, as well as being a white supremacist. Which, those three things.
Yeah.
Skilled in martial arts, firing guns, and being a white supremacist.
Yeah. Ooh.
What?
Yikes.
She went on to describe Larry as a small guy who had often been picked on, saying that Larry wore high-heeled boots, makeup, and jewelry along with his school uniform to school. Scott Wimper, Brandon's attorney, described Larry as the aggressor, saying that he was often sexually aggressive and often made inappropriate remarks provoking Brandon. Witnesses who were students and classmates of Brandon's testified on July 7, 2011. One witness said that Larry told her that he changed his name to Letitia. Another witness said many students made fun of Larry and called him offensive names behind his back when he came to school wearing makeup and jewelry. A few of the witnesses said that they never noticed Larry making sexual advances towards other students, but that sexual comments were just messing with Brandon. The former vice principal of E.O. Green School, Joy Epstein, testified on July 11, 2011. She said she had discussed Larry's behavior with other school officials of the school district, and they decided it was according to the constitutional rights of California, legitimate for Larry to wear what he wanted unless it violated the school's dress code. Joy Epstein said high-heeled boots, makeup, and jewelry were allowed according to the Oxnard school dress policy. She said another administrator within the district said that the school must protect the students' civil and equal rights. Another teacher testified that pupils had told her King would seek them out and follow them into the bathroom. Behavior she considered to be sexual harassment. She was told by Epstein the school could do nothing about the behavior.
So I'm not like justifying like sexual assault. I do believe like if he was doing that, that's very wrong. But at the same time, I don't think that it's okay to kill people, especially bringing a weapon to school and shooting them in the back of the head, because you're not in immediate harm at that moment.
Exactly.
That person is like literally turned away from you. So you cannot make the argument that this person was gonna attack you.
Exactly.
They were turned around. Like you're not an immediate threat at that point. So setting aside the fact that possible sexual harassment was going on, at that moment in time, it wasn't going on.
Yeah. Literally just sitting in his computer lab.
Yeah.
On July 22nd, 2011, the jury was shown footage of a video in which Brandon was fighting in the Ventura County Juvenile Hall where he currently lives. One of the corrections officers testified that the defendant was a quote-unquote good kid in the honors program for good behavior and had relationships with people of different backgrounds and origins. He said that within the juvenile hall environment, fighting was a routine occurrence and that Brandon was not prone to violence as the prosecution alleged. Dawn Boldrin, an English teacher, had testified and said that she counseled Larry and told him that he should not wear attention-getting clothing if he did not want to receive negative attention.
Yeah, blame the victim.
Literally, victim blaming, hi. She also gave the teen who was exploring his sexual and or gender identity a strapless green chiffon gown. She meant for him to wear it outside of school, and a photo was taken of Larry holding up the dress and many people in the courtroom were crying. Greg King, Larry's father, became upset and gathered his family to leave. But before doing so, Dawn King, Larry's mother, swore at Boldrin's 13-year-old daughter and a relative. The judge later barred